Hey everyone, welcome to episode 35 of Bedroom Beethovens, the podcast where I push creatives to allow themselves the opportunity to explore new sounds and new possibilities with different instruments, because it incorporates new ideas that will help you think about music in a new way. And I don't do this by giving you a lesson in Fruity Loops, because I don't know anything about music production. However, I recognize that these genius behind the boards, whether they're in a studio or in a bedroom, have stories that need to be told. And I am the conduit of such stories. My guest this week is another member of Mutant Academy, Ewonee, and we talk about how Nas inspired his start in music, how his home base shares the same area as pioneering rap groups like Heavy D and the Boys and Pete Rock and CL Smooth for much of his life. And though he was immediately intrigued by the process of beat making, there were many growing pains. From a young boy to post-high school enrolled in audio engineering school, I get into the weeds, and we talk about it all, or as much as I can in 35, 40 minutes. Sorry, I can't be the Joe Rogan of music production podcast. I can't interview him for 3 hours. We got places to go and people to see. But if you enjoy this podcast, which I promise you is about music first and foremost, but also about life and the journey of hard work and gaining experience, please visit the website bedroombeethovens.com. Hit up the Patreon. Give me your money, because I'd rather take your money than advertisers and have you sit through a boring MeUndies ad. You know? Support me. The YouTube channel, it's up and running. I post clips, interviews. It's a good time. Like and subscribe. So here I am, Cello, your one and only host, and you are tuned into...
It's the Bedroom Beethoven Podcast.
Yeah, I mean, here we are on a Sunday, the day of rest, and you want it to work. So I respect and admire that, unless you think this podcast isn't work, and then I like you even more.
Stuff like this, like the extracurricular stuff of this music stuff, is the fun part to me. I enjoy making music too, but the meeting people that you might not meet, you know what I mean? Doing things that I wouldn't have thought I'd have an interview if you talked to me when I was in high school trying to do this. So I love shit like this, man.
Well, right on. Oh, you listened to the Twami episode I did?
Yes, absolutely. That's how I got hip.
How'd I do on that? That was one of my earlier ones.
Perfect. No, you were good. It's also one of those things too. Like, I've met him at that point. I had met him a couple of times. I kind of, we definitely knew each other, but I never really got to sat down and talk to him. So that was super informative for me.
I felt like I had a hard time getting him out of his shell. He seems like a behind the scenes guy. But
yeah, man. Tommy is. I mean, it depends. Unless you're behind the scenes with him, you know what I mean. Tommy got a funny person. Tommy's funny, bro. People don't know Tommy's a funny dude. Tommy's funny, but he's definitely reserved, man. He's one of the more reserved cats.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can be like Diddy, doing beats, dancing in people's videos. Some people just like to make 10 tracks a day in their studio and keep their head down, and that's okay.
Straight up, man. I was just watching Making the Band yesterday.
Oh, wow. When I first came across your name, I don't know if this is accurate, but when I think of E1, I think about like the military. Like when you enter the military, you start out as an E1 and your name is like, started from the bottom. Like I came to this game in E1 and now watch me become a lieutenant,
Word. I never even knew that. That's crazy.
So you grew up near like Pete Rock, is that correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, if I was like a basketball player and I grew up down the street from like Michael Jordan, that would instill like a sense of wonder in me. Like we possibly share the same type of superpower, Do you kind of feel that way? Like Pete's a legend and he grew up around the corner. What's he got that I don't, other than experience? Let's make it happen.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. His whole his neighborhood house, like his basement where everybody was going to, and like where all the Soul Survivor, all that stuff. Was like right around the block from like the park that I played at as a kid. So like all of the stuff that I got to see that I wasn't supposed to see when I was a kid, like, was in that park. You grow up and that stuff holds more reverence to you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really realize how cool that is until you're, like, way older and you're like, oh, man, that's crazy. Like, the chances of that, like, what are the chances of that, you know? But, I mean, that park now is dedicated to Heavy D and the Boys. So they got a nice big Heavy D and the Boys mural in that park. I haven't been there in a minute.
Well, what's funny is, like, you know, Pete Rock just released this album with Sky Zoo, and the kicker is the beats are all 25 years old. And then I hear Gangstar's new track, and Guru's vocals are all 15 years old. And I keep hearing about beats or records being dated, but the Sky Zoo album doesn't feel out of place being released this week, nor does the Gangstar track. So now I'm kind of scratching my head, like, what makes a song dated? Is it the lyrics or is it the beats?
I'd imagine it would definitely be like the sonic quality of it too. You know what I mean? Because some 90s rap tracks like aren't as polished as you know, vocal wise, aren't as polished. Not what they're saying, but like how it's mixed and all of that. That's the only way that I can totally tell that a song is older than from a song being newer. But yo, what's that joint? Oh, it's all good. He said that beat was from 1992.
Me being who I visualize, but still got friends of mine that I had you spinning five. I've been incentivized to come remind y'all that it's live or die. In all purple denim like Prince alive. Raspberry beret, raspberry Corvette, stashed right by the steps. That's how we was left till we was left. Yo, you ever been surrounded by police and over here whispering the plan with a throat key? You ever been surrounded by police and over here whispering the plan with a throat key? You ever been surrounded by police and over here?
But it was like a Nas album that changed your life, though. But it wasn't Illmatic. Most people usually go to Illmatic.
Right,
Yours wasn't
right.
Illmatic.
It was written, man, for sure.
But that's the album that fostered accusations of Nas selling out within the hip hop community. You know, a lot of people didn't like that because stylistic changes or his increased mainstream success. What was it about that resonated with you, though?
When I was like one of the first rap CDs that I had ever really heard, like I stole it from my dad. So that was one, like just the whole, you know, not knowing was cool, but also just like some of the songs were at a young age, like I still was able to like really grasp my head around. Like the one joint where he's personifying a gun, like I'll never forget that. I gave you power. Boom. He's like personifying himself as a gun. You know what I mean? He's getting passed off through the hood. He's like got the whole story of like how a gun would live its life in the hood, but he's personifying that for you. And I couldn't have been no older than like maybe 8, 7 years old. But listening to it multiple times, I was able to grasp my head around what he was saying. Well, that's crazy. So that and just the beats, like some of the beats on there are crazy, man.
Isn't it crazy, though, that like your dad can passively buy a rap album, not knowing that his son might pick it up one day and it influences a career that he's going to grow up and excel at? You know what I mean? I have 2 daughters. I hope I accidentally help them find their way by something like maybe I buy a video game and they want to make video games for a living. It's funny how that stuff.
You absolutely will, man. Stuff like that is crazy. My parents are hip hop heads too, man. Like my parents were the people that were like there seeing it. Like they were old enough. They were born in the 60s, so during the 80s they were old enough to get it all in. You know what I mean? So they give me all of the stories. They learn me on people that I wouldn't even. You know, you do enough research, you know what I mean, to say, all right, I know that. But my dad and my mother would definitely be like, no, we were there. This dude, this guy, this and that. You know, I'm blessed. You know what I mean? I'm blessed to have hip hop heads as parents. So
I'm a little envious. Yeah. Did they have a vinyl record collection, or was it just CDs?
So my dad had a couple records, but he had moved around a lot, so he didn't really have many. But he had like rap records. Like I got Ultramagnetic MC's first joint. Big Daddy Kane, 12 inches, like he had all that stuff. He didn't really have too many joints for me to like sample and go through, but it was like a history lesson. Some Beastie Boys joints, Ghetto Boys joints. He had a lot of hip hop like a lot of hip hop 12 inches and stuff.
Well, so how did you evolve into the crate digging? Like if you are hunting for samples now and that's something you enjoy, how did that come about?
Yeah, man. Well, growing up in Mount Vernon, I then moved to Brewster, New York, and went to high school there just for the 4 years of high school. And that town is like super woodsy. It's like really nowhere to get around unless you have a car. And then after high school, I moved up more with my parents to Poughkeepsie. And now I'm living in Poughkeepsie, New York. So it's a little more spread out. It's kind of a mountain town, but it's got sidewalks and you can get around. So when I first moved up here, I was going to thrift stores and checking that out because I was just getting out of audio engineering school when I moved here as well. So I went to audio engineering school like right after high school. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just do the beats. So I didn't have a car, so I was just walking around to thrift stores with a backpack, just trying to spend $20 here, $30 here, and come back with a stack. And that's really how I built my record collection. So like moving up here really helped me. And like just the thrift store aesthetic of it too, because like I wasn't really digging in record stores when I first started. The basis of my collection was definitely built off of like going into a thrift store and like seeing mad records and just knowing that there's a grip of classical or something else, but you know that you're going to get something crazy out of there.
But if you're going to school for audio engineering, their job is to teach you the latest and the greatest. But instead of relying on perhaps the industry latest, you reverted to vinyl.
Yeah.
Do you endorse formal education? Were they able to teach you anything that you couldn't have learned on your own?
Absolutely. I wish I could blow up so they could be like, he's an alum, come here, because I would totally do that. That school was like, it was like a 9-month program. Man, it was great, because you learn a bunch on the technical side and the fundamental side of music, what it takes to make a song, what makes sound. You know what I mean? Like all of that intriguing stuff. If you care, it's like, oh man, that's crazy. But past that, we had access to their studios. Like it was a technical program. So they had big studios. Once you were in the program long enough and they felt like you weren't going to break anything, they would let you rock in the studios for as long as you wanted until like 2 a.m. So it was that. And then was also like a dope competitive aspect of it because you're in there with people who make music. So it's like you might have people who all make beats. And then if you all link, which we all did, we was all making beats. We'd all show each other beats after class. And it's like if your joints wasn't smacking, you had to go back home and make it smack. So those times were some of the best times, man. I love SAE.
Well, what's the process? So like say you run across like a Wes Montgomery California Dreaming vinyl and you never heard it, but it's a 50-year-old instrumental album inspired by a well-known area. Do you think it's like, yeah, there's going to be some unearthed diamonds on this?
Well, let me think of what I really try to look for now. Now it's either like somebody that I know maybe plays on the vinyl, you know what I mean? Like a name that I'm familiar with that I'm like, oh, I love his guitar playing, right? Like Wes, you know what I mean? So you're like, oh, I gotta get it. Totally. The year, like I like stuff between, I'm giving up a lot. I like stuff between the late 60s, like 69 to like 73, 74 is like really good because people were just pushing the boundaries of what they could do because multi-track recording was popular, but it really was like the capabilities of tape machines and stuff in that time was just like if you wanted to have a whole orchestra and then track something else afterwards, you could totally do that. So people were doing it. And just like, where's it from? Like I like foreign records now because that's like the thing, you know what I mean? After you feel like you've gone through a lot of the, like you no matter how many records you have, if you're doing this, sometimes you feel like you've gone through all the samples in America. You're like, this has been sampled. I might have found this that was good, but it took me forever. So then you try to travel, you know what I mean? You try to travel and see if you could find like a time period in a country that was super dope. And then you like kind of just hone in on that for a little bit.
Well, but like FS Green, Dutch producers, Amsterdam. I interviewed Kool-Aid, who's in Croatia, Nicolay's from the Netherlands. What is it about foreign producers? Is it cultural? Like perhaps their environment allows them to create sounds that differ from the U.S.? Is it a mindset?
No, I don't think the music was too different. They were still definitely doing, because some of those guys too had like, some of the like FS Green, like Hazy, Full Crate. I know some of them have like a background in like dubstep and like electronic music. Like they also make that stuff. But during the time period that I found them, so like maybe 2009, 2010, yeah, like they're sample based stuff. They were killing it. It's just like, I guess, oh man, I'm trying to like remember what made me gravitate towards them. Because one, I want to think it was the internet. because I was going on like strictlybeats.com, but they used to just post beat tapes, like nothing but instrumental tapes. So I would be in study halls, you know what I mean, trying to find all of the new beat tapes. And those cats were always killing it for some reason. Like FS Green was one of my favorite producers at one time. Like, just go on YouTube, like just type in FS Green on YouTube. All of his YouTube stuff is crazy. But then he has like a Hi-Hat Club beat tape that's like, it's just nostalgia, you know, for me. But those cats, I don't know, man. It was something in the water over there, I guess. But I want to say the electronic background too, because their beats were mixed so clean and so well.
Well, I mean, technical ability aside, you know what's funny is like Full Crate and FS Green and all them, as you were getting inspired by them being foreign, they were listening to what was on our side of the pond. They were listening to Dilla, Tribe, Simon and Garfunkel, Nirvana, Erykah Badu, Neil Young. So they were getting inspiration from our music. I know Madlib always gravitates towards Brazilian music, and Fly Anakin just got a random tweet out from Madlib, and I think the clip that he played was a Twami beat. So I know you DJ for him and provide beats. So really, that compliment was kind of an extension to you in Mutant Academy.
Oh yeah, come on, man! I screamed, I yelled, I definitely yelled throughout the house, and everyone that was like, "Why are you yelling?" I wouldn't even understand. I had to like kind of sit down and explain it to my parents. I was like, "Well, this guy's big. That's my friend. He knows of him." And I had to call him immediately. I was like, "Yo, this is crazy."
You know, a lot of people compare you to Madlib.
Man, I'll take it. That's pops, man. That's the whole pops of all of this, man.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you think Madlib's overrated?
Not at all. Not one bit. Not at all. I wish that other producers could have the same type of catalog that he has, man, because he's so diverse. Like, you'll never run out of music. You'll never run out of, like, you might not want to listen to rap, but you can still listen to Madlib. You know, if you get what I'm saying? Like, he's got broken beat stuff. He's got jazz stuff. He's got bug out stuff. He's got DJ mixes. It's like, you can't go wrong. It's like, you could legitimately listen to him all day and not get bored. So that's crazy to me. Do
you think him being on like Hot 97, doing interviews, flossing, posing with Freddie Gibbs is what he should be doing as a producer? Because some would argue that he's not staying true to his aesthetic. Now he's more mainstream now.
What? That dude is like 40 something, bro. What? Come on. All that you would want. Like, what? I wish I could like rock fly dashikis and like go across the world and drink wine with my record friend and my rap friend. Like, what? Please, he's living his life. It's good. Like, me, I personally love seeing that stuff, because you wouldn't even think, like, Madlib was in the basement his whole life. You would imagine, you know what I'm saying? In my head, I'm like, he was in the basement his whole life with a do-rag on, like, making mad beats. Now, I guess it's paid off a little bit, and you know, he's chilling, still making beats. Can't be mad. Please, I love seeing him and Freddie Gibbs killing wine, chilling. That shit is great.
He uses a SP303, which is less than $300. I don't know my way around machines. Is that a hard machine to use?
Yes, for sure. I mean, you got the 303 and you got the 404 that are really sought after. The 404 is like the one that everybody's using now, but the 303 was like its predecessor. Like, it came right before it, and it has less capabilities. I know for sure. It doesn't have like the DJ effects looper that everybody loves to like stutter their beats with. But it's got like a sonic quality to it that's just like wild. Like, Flying Lotus also uses it sometimes as well, just to like run drums through. I don't know if you're familiar with that song that he has. Flying Lotus has with Earl Sweatshirt and MF Doom. Yeah, he ran some drums through that for sure. I read something somewhere. So that has a dope little.
The Wild Islander, bringing out the child in you, singing out the silencer with more violence than Hal Hitler. He gets some looks of bullshit bull over, a dusty pullover and a Pulitzer. A must we bust your crusty subwoofer sister.
Look, it's its own little like mystique to it. You know, I've never actually used one, but yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are just using. I think what was it? Madlib said he was just using an iPad for bandana. So I don't know if people are still. I know a lot of purists want to use the VHS player, because the true essence of how they got in the game is still there, and they don't want to transition to modern technology. But it depends on the type of producer you are, I guess.
I mean, look at look at DiBiase, man. I love seeing DB he'll just get on everybody. He'll be like, all right, man, I got another contraption to make beats with today. Like, he's making beats with anything that you could put samples into right now. So that right there could just show you, like, if you got the funk and if you got a source, like if you have a source for samples, you can make anything. You could kill it. All you need is like some time to like get your head around it. You know what I mean?
I know you're gonna reach a point where you're drinking wine and being on Hot 97, but I'm curious, what kind of shit jobs did you have in the past?
Man, around the time when I was like really starting to get my feet wet and producing, I was doing like nights. I was working like overnights doing stock, doing like grocery stock. So like 12 to 8, 12 a.m., 8 a.m., like the whole night, man. And then you come home and you're tired and maybe you want to wake up and make beats. I'm trying to like give a good time period. To Pimp a Butterfly had came out around this time and all that. So I was working at like Stop and Shop. I had just got like my first real music money. I think I got a check for, a couple thousand or whatever. And I was like, whoa, I think I could do this. So I was doing overnight stock and I quit that after I got some music money. And I was like, I think I could do this.
Oh my God. Was that like a half-baked moment where you get on the mic and you're like, all right, everybody,
I'm out? A myriad of things. It was that, and I was also interning at a post-production house in the city. So like they had like a bunch of editors and video editors and stuff, and like the interns had to just watch out and make sure that they were okay and like wash dishes and all that dumb shit. So I was going to the city to do that in the daytime, then coming home and working night, and then like maybe making some beats. So it was like, I got fed up. I just quit everything. It was like, I'm just going to make some beats for a minute. So I did that. I was early me too. Like I had no knowledge of the business. Like I had no knowledge of what it takes to sustain yourself in making money and making music, to make sure that you have some money in your pocket. You know what I mean? I had no clue about that.
Was that pre-Radiance or post-Radiance?
That was the time of Radiance. That was like, met the Beat House dudes. They were like, yo, we love this album. We want to put it out. We want it to be our first album that we put out on our record label. I was like, amazing. Let's do it. They gave me an advance. I was like, yo, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I don't even have that money in my pocket right now. I've been working here for like 8 months. Like, I'm out.
Like maybe the album would have came out different if you were a Silver Spoon kid and you had chains around your neck and you got into your Benz. Maybe the suffering, or suffering's a strong word, but maybe, I had a crappy job and I'm trying to make it in music. The hunger and the grind was so hard. Radiance came out a lot better because of it.
Yeah, man, definitely. That time period was just like really, really weird. You try to like put yourself back in that time period through the music, and it's like listening to that album is kind of cringy because I'm like, well, I know I was going through something. Like I could tell I was going through something, but I love that period, man. That time period was dope.
But Beat House and Mutant Academy, they're two separate entities, right?
Yeah, totally. Beat House is they were based in New York, but everybody's kind of spread out now.
But everything's smooth there. I mean, the transition between Beat House and Mutant Academy, everything's good.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's no like, oh, you're signed, you can't leave. We got a 360 deal on you. You know what I mean? Welcome to Death Row. Like, nah, not at all. Beat House was like one of the first crews like in New York. Like when I was going down to the city and like seeing shows. I mean, the first show I'd ever saw in New York was Obliv, Knowledge, Twami, K's, like in a deli. Like in a deli, you would go get a sandwich and then turn around and there's a bunch of people listening to beats. And the dude who runs Beat House, my man Fresh Daily, is also a rapper. He was an MC that night, so he was hosting. After that, I was just kind of like, what's going on? Like, the city was a different place. This is maybe 2013. There was a lot of little beat shows popping up. And just the way it was done was just dope. So that's how I kind of found out about Beat House. Then I reached out and was like, yo, I love what you guys are doing, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, got plugged in. They were the homies. We did so much together, man. I went on tour with those dudes. We got brand sponsorships. I got paid good money for shows as a youngin'. Like I was just really getting into this, so that was the best time. And we had the city on lock. I was thinking about that recently, man. We had the city on smash, man. That was fun.
I mean, it sounds like a very high point in your career. I was wondering though, like when you're performing in a deli or you have a DJ set in a small space, you can't wow out. It's just people bobbing their head. So how do you gauge crowd reaction? Because I feel Steve Aoki has to go so over the top, strobe lights, throwing cake on people, playing music at 100 beats per minute, just to ensure that he's creating a moment with his audience. How do you make sure you're doing that, or is that not a big concern?
Oh no, it's huge. I mean, when I first started playing shows, I was super nervous. Like I wouldn't even say anything. I would just kind of go up there, do my thing for like 20 minutes. Hope nobody would look at me. You know what I mean? But the more you do this, the more you get comfortable. And like you're saying, like I've played to like a couple hundred people, and I've played a bar of 15 people. So it's like you totally have to have a different level of like connection with people, because like when it's more intimate, of course you're not gonna really want to play like some upbeat stuff, because I make everything, man. I try to play everything when I'm playing out. Like I try to give everybody a little taste of like everything that I've been making. So like if I'm playing like 15, 20 people on like a Thursday, I might not play a house joint. You know what I mean? And I might super interact with the crowd a lot more. Like I might get on the mic and ask people if they want to get on the mic, whatever. You know what I mean? But as opposed to like playing somewhere where there's like it's Friday, there's like couple hundred people, like 100 people, maybe 100 people. You want to play a upbeat set. You want to give them everything. You know what I mean? And you don't want to interact too much with the crowd, because then now you're cutting the music off, and it's loud in there. You know what I mean? People just want to listen to the music. You know, when it's more intimate, you totally want to just like kind of connect with everybody, because you could connect with everybody right there. You could be like, "What up?" You know, it's nice. I like it.
Yeah, because Just Blaze's music is like it's so in your face, like dun 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 dun. The most important person with all due shout out. And your beats can sometimes be kind of understated, or your DJ sets can just be like these chill vibes, and it might be kind of hard to tell from just a guy bobbing his head for 15 minutes. American gangster, take a flight, coming to a town near you. So, I mean, you can almost use live sets as a barometer, like how stand-up comedians will go to a small club to tell a new joke to see if it hits before they use it like on a Netflix special. Do you sometimes kind of test your beats on people? That
has become one of my new favorite things, yo. I'm telling you, I'll make a beat that night or the night before, and I'll just throw it into my set and be like, yo, I just made this. Let's check it out. And then you kind of... Oh, you tell them ahead of time, or do you kind of just sneak it on them? If it's a beat that I know I made like yesterday, I'm definitely going to let everybody know I made this yesterday. Like, and definitely like to gauge crowd reaction with beats, because you know what's hitting and what's not. You know what I mean? Just by looking up at the crowd real quick, you know what's hitting and what's not. Like the jazz ambient project you're working on, perhaps that's a culmination of you learning more instruments, and now you're focusing on music theory, and you're falling deeper into the rabbit hole on what kind of music you can make. So I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah, definitely. Look at DJ Mustard and Metro Boomin. They're successful, yes, but I also feel like they're one-dimensional, and they could never make an Eric Lau beat because they aren't studying the chord structure or the timing or the key signatures, or they know how to work a bass guitar. And that's why I like you, because you open up your music. It's very open, and I think people can appreciate that. Yo, even on the same side of different sides of the same coin, like those dudes like Metro Boomin and Mustard, it's like I couldn't do what they do, man. Like that stuff is crazy. Like that's too super out of here for me, man. Like I tried too. Like there was a whole period of like maybe a year and a half. Like I'm gonna just make a couple trap beats. Like I'm gonna see what the formula is. I want to know what the formula is, because it's tempos. You got to know your tempos. You got to know, if you want to like delve into like a certain kind of, I want to make this kind of beat. Like you got to kind of know your tempos. You got to know, what the feeling is, what the texture is, what drums to use. So. Stuff. Is it that deep? I always just thought they just had an ear for hits. Is it really that deep? No, it gets deep. It gets deep because I can show you mad trap beats that's like just super corny, like compared to trap beats that are like well made, that you'd be like, oh, okay, I see exactly what you mean here. Like, of course, it's still going to be pretty straightforward. Like when I think of that stuff, I think of like rap beats. Like it's legitimately rap beats. They're not overproducing really too much. It's like kick, hi-hat, snare, and then some kind of melody thing, and then a bass. same thing. On our side, it's the same thing. It's kick, hi-hat, snare.
24 from the hood, and I made 11 million this year, so I'm throwing up paper.
You got a sample. Maybe the sample got the bass, maybe you're gonna add a bass. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's just played it differently. You know what I mean? It's like the same food, just presented super differently. So I took some time of study to try to figure that stuff out, man. I wish I was good at it. I got a couple, but I wish I was good.
This might seem like a weird question, but because it seems you're growing, you're learning music theory, you're trying new things. Is that going to be an issue for Mutant Academy? Maybe Fly Anakin, Big Kahuna concept, maybe they want a certain type of beat, but you might be on your medicine box-ish, or you want to open up and work with more artists. And I don't want to imply that you're bigger than Mutant Academy or they're putting you in a box. It's just, how would Cash Money felt if Manny Fresh was producing for other artists, or if Kanye West was saving all the best beats for himself? You know what I mean?
Nah, totally. I totally get what you're saying. What it is like, well, one, I love is I can get as far out as I want to with this, but I'm always gonna like make the rap. Like I'm always gonna go back and just want to find a sample to chop and find an ill piece to use and get some drums, just put that together. You know what I mean? Or just find a piece and just get that piece from the sample and just use that. You know, so that holds such an ill reverence in my heart. So it's like I could never just not make stuff like that. So that's always gonna be made. Like I always have like a time during the week where no matter how crazy I'm getting, like I could definitely just it's more therapeutic. Like I've been doing that for so long. Like that aspect, just making rap stuff, I've been doing that for so long. It's therapeutic. You know what I mean? You're like just sitting down and you're just doing it. But I know for a fact I could probably send those cats some more beats, man. You know what I do is I make so much stuff, man. I'll try to get a project together, like for myself, out of those beats. Then I'll also try to get some of the best beats from that, you know, that group of beats that I'm trying to pick for myself and send them out to all of my rap friends that I know will kill it. And sometimes I end up saving some of the best beats for myself. So I definitely got to start. You know what it is too with myself is I don't really like to share too much. Like if I make some stuff and I share it with you, you're probably my friend.
All right. Well, if you send me an email with a beat, we're friends then. You heard it here.
Hey, bro. It's not too far-fetched.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that. But I read in an editorial that you upset expectations about how where samples are used. Have you ever heard that before?
You know what my thing is like, this has been a thing for so long, yo. Like the art of sampling has been a thing for so long. The last thing that us, and when I say us, I mean like producers my age, my generation of producers, is like to use what our forefathers was using, or like just use those loops that they was using, or like, you know, it's a nostalgia factor, one, because you're like, yo, I remember that song, like I remember that sample. So it's like there's that. But like the whole that wasn't cool back then. For them that was biting. Like you wasn't getting no play because such and such used that last week and that beat and that song is about to come out. You know what I mean? So like for my generation of producers, like for us, I feel like we gotta take it deeper. There's new music that we could be sampling. Like there's all kind of sources that we could be using. So sometimes I hate when I hear like a loop that's been used that hasn't been manipulated enough to where you're like, oh, he did something super creative with this. You're like, all right, cool. This is something completely new. Like 9 times out of 10, you're just, you know, somebody might find that sample and grab that and then try to like repurpose it for now, but they ain't really do too much to it. So you have like you got to think about, I don't know if you're familiar with like pop music. Like that's what pop music does now. You know what I mean? Pop music will take, it's kind of what Diddy was doing. It's like a Fire 80 sample, Fire 90 sample, you know, something that brings out that feeling of nostalgia to where you're like, oh, I know this. And then they just repackage it for now. So it's like for us, for my class of us to be doing that, like it's now we know better than them. You know what I mean? I like going out and finding that new joint. You know what I'm saying? That joint that people are like, yo, how did you find that? Because we could go to Who Sampled and find that one sample that you're like, yo, I remember that.
I just think people don't want to be in a position where you do, like, you take a Shaka Khan sample and you speed it up so she sounds like a chipmunk, and then put it over a soul beat, and then turns out 10 years later she hated what you did to her sample. That's tricky.
I think that's the funniest thing to me, man. She's like, I hate it.
She got paid though. She didn't hate it that much.
Word up. Love that check. You know she did.
Oh man. All right, man. Ewone.com/shop. That I'm going to plug this for you. EWONEE.com. Cassettes to hoodies. Please go over there and support him. Holly Waters coming. I think it just released. You got some joints on there. You're staying very busy. And you know what? I don't say this often. I extended an invite on the podcast because I love your music. But after talking with you for a half hour, I think you're a really smart, tactical individual who is spreading real intelligence in the game and giving a lot of people ambition and inspiration to chase their own craft. And it's really special for me because you've navigated your 10,000 hour journey well. But at this moment, right now, you feel you're working on your best music of your life. So in essence, I'm getting the best version of you to share with my listeners, and I really couldn't ask for more than that.
That's love, G. That's love, man. I appreciate you, for real.
No doubt, man. If I missed anything, I want to give you the floor because I know you're busy working on music and you got the ambient project. I'll give you this time now to plug whatever future projects you got in Q4 or Q1 2020.
Amazing. Thank you, bro. Hey, thank you for this platform. You know, for us, this is having something like this to shed light on us is amazing. Like, we really need this documentation. So people like you are definitely needed. Thank you, 1. 2, I'm working on a beat tape right now, actually. Like, let's say maybe end of October-ish. It's really based on, like, skateboard culture. Like LES, Lower East Side, Supreme in the 90s. You know, skateboard culture, like that played a big part in me growing up and who I turned out to be. Because I'm a stone's throw from the city, so that was always like a big portion of what to do for the weekend when I was a kid. So I got a beat tape coming out celebrating all that stuff. I'm just getting it ready right now. It's really in like the final stages. Got that, man. I'm working on projects with a myriad of people, man. I don't want to. We're working on the Mutant Academy album right now. You know, the album. I just got Hollywood, but now we're working on the feature length film. I got an R&B album I'm gonna drop eventually.
Are you gonna do like a Nelly sweatsuit double album, 1 R&B, 1 rap?
Yo, absolutely, son. You actually got it. This is probably gonna be the first joint where I want to be on the cover. Like, I want to take a picture of myself, put it on.
There we go.
I might just have the sweatsuit on with the headband, with the Band-Aid underneath my eye. Maybe.
I feel like 1% of us will get it, but that's all that matters.
That's it. That's who I make my music for.